Good afternoon, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about how it is that I was able to pick up 20 ounces of silver for under spot price. I got these for $33 an ounce, 20 ounces, paying $660 for these two 10-ounce bars of silver. Now, how I was able to pick up these two 10-ounce bars of silver for $33 an ounce was something that I had set into motion quite a while ago. Now, many of you know that I had picked up this Suburban just recently as my new vehicle to drive around. New vehicle, it's a 97 Suburban, but it only has 164,000 miles on it. There's still plenty of miles to go on this car. Now, I wanted to buy this vehicle for around $3,000, which a lot of people thought was a little high, but in my opinion, four-wheel drive, good running vehicle. Everything about it is smooth functioning. I'm cool with it. $3,000 was a really good deal, but I didn't quite have, I had the $3,000, but I didn't quite have the $3,000 to just give up. I have, a position in savings, a position in emergency funds, and with that $3,000, if I was to give that up right away, I would deplete those particular funds. So I didn't want to give up the $3,000, but I wanted the truck. So what I did is I went to a buddy of mine who I know really well, and I said, hey man, I need $3,000 in order to buy this Suburban. And he says, well, I'll loan it to you. And I said, well, how about this? So you don't have to sign contracts and put out this, weird feeling that I owe you money or anything. How about I just sell you, right? 10-ounce bars of silver for $30 an ounce, right? Which would make $300 for each 10-ounce bar. And then I will buy those bars back from you at a 10% interest, which I know for a lot of people are like, dude, a 10% loan, that's really high. Yeah, it kind of is, I get that part, but I'm not going through any kind of banks or anybody else. And it's only $300 on top of the $3,000 Suburban price, which would make it $3,300 to pay over time. That's not that bad of a deal. I thought that was pretty good. Now, my buddy who doesn't really want silver was willing to take the silver as collateral for the loan, because now he's sitting in a position with the silver that he's essentially made whole. Like, he doesn't have to be paid back. He could take the silver down to the dealer and literally go get his money from that guy. But instead, I've been buying these bars back once a month from him for $330. Well, today silver was what, $37 an ounce or something, which makes these bars $370 at least. And if you went down to the coin dealer, you're going to get charged a premium. So these bars would sell for well over $400. But yet I'm buying them back for $330. Fortunately, these are the last two that I'm going to be able to do that with. But talk about a great way to not only use your silver to make a purchase like this, but then also to use it as that collateral so you don't have to stress about paying somebody back. Obviously you're going to pay them back by buying those silver, but ultimately they're already made whole. Like, everybody could walk away from the deal and it's all good. Like, everybody is cool with the position. So your network, the network of people that you know, the places that you can go to do business, is your net worth. Like, think about it. If I wanted to buy this Suburban and I didn't have the $3,000, I would have to go to a bank to get the $3,000. And there I would have to have credit ratings and checks and all that other stuff and the promise to pay. And you'll have to pay full coverage insurance on the vehicle because you're paying it off, like all the problems that start to exist from it. But if you have a network of people who is willing to lend you the money and take silver as collateral, especially when the deal works out really well, when you make the deal at $32 an ounce or whatever it was at the time, and then it runs up to $37 an ounce, like, everybody's happy with the deal. Like, if I didn't pay him back, he's got something as far as his asset goes that is better than getting the money. Like, he could literally go down and get more for it than what I'm paying him back for. Couldn't work out any better. So these things are awesome. And now I'm going to show these ones off. We got the Sunshine Mint here. Let me see if I can get it out of the light so it doesn't glare. Right? And I love that it has the serial number on it. And this one I think is really cool. This one comes from the Monarch Precious Metals Company. And it's, again, so shiny. Right? But this is pretty cool because it looks like a hand pour. It looks like they literally poured it into a sand mold or something like that. Really kind of, old school bullion looking kind of things. But I wanted to share that with you. These are the last two that I needed to buy back. I finally got them back in my possession again. So the loan is now completed. Everybody is paid back. I got my silver. I got my truck. Worked out to be just one of the easiest, simplest ways of being able to acquire this truck through the silver without actually having to use the silver to buy the truck. I used it as collateral to get a loan. Right? And then bought those bars back at a 10% interest, which actually put the spot price of those bars or much higher than what it is that I'm paying for them. So anyway, just wanted to share that story with you guys real quick. Lynette Zhang always says always references community as one of the important facets of preparedness. I could not agree more. Like, there are so many skills that other people have out there that you don't have, that you can then share what it is that you have with them in order to use their skills. It's just being in a position of knowing a lot of people and knowing a lot of people that are trustworthy and who trust you. Right? I mean, your integrity is everything when it comes to being known for your trustworthiness, right? And being able to do deals with. Like, people don't want, like, if you're known as somebody who is going to screw the people over, then less people are going to want to do deals with you, right? The more that they say, hey man, he pays back, he's good to his word, everything that he ever promised or said that he was going to do, he did, he delivered on it. When you have a reputation of that, it makes it so much easier to do business. All right. Legendary financial lesson. Thank you. You've got me started on silver 10 years ago. Great insight. Hey, there's Ryan. Okay, Brian, yeah, he's been there for a couple of them. That's a good buddy of mine right there. And yeah, I mean, 10 years ago, he knows this game. Like, everything that I have ever talked about as far as what I've done with silver and how it's benefited me, like, Ryan was there to see it. All right. All Nighter says, smoke that thumbs up like Cheech and Chong. All right. Silver is a great investment. Yeah, Bryce, I mean, I think a lot of it is in the wording. I wouldn't necessarily go as far as to call silver an investment. I would call it a speculation. An investment is something that pays you. Rental income, dividend-paying stocks, a business that's going to grow, profit. Those things are investments, right? When you buy something that doesn't change and doesn't pay you, like, it's a 10-ounce bar, it doesn't deliver me a yield like a dividend payment or rent or anything like that, all I can ever do is possibly sell it into the future or do what I did and use it as collateral. But ultimately, it doesn't do anything but sit there. And that's what they refer to. I'm not saying anybody who buys it is dumb, but it's a dumb asset, meaning that it just sits there, doesn't do anything, right? And so when you think about silver, it's something of the greater fool theory. Now, again, it's not an insult, it's just what the investors call it, in that you are going to buy it with a hope that you're going to be able to sell it into the future to somebody else for a higher price, right? The greater fool. Somebody else is going to be paying something higher for it than what you paid. Now, in that sense, it's a speculation. You are speculating that the price is going to be moving up. To me, that's not what I do with silver. Like, to me, silver is much different of an asset to me. It's an insurance policy. It keeps me separated from that third-party claim. If anything was to happen with the government, the banking system, anything outside of me personally, like the external out there, I can't change the external. So the only thing I can do is deal with what it is that I have. This separates me from that external, and that's what I look at it as, right? And can you use it occasionally? Absolutely. If you've got a network of people who are trusting you, willing to lend you money, you can use this as a collateral to which everybody is made whole. Like, literally, you could walk away from the deal at any given time without making the purchases, without paying it back, because the person that you had given the silver to now has the asset that they could go down and get their money back with. This is the best deal in the world for everybody. You don't need paperwork. You don't need anything. The deal is literally in the purchasing and the transferring of the asset itself. So to me, like, there's nothing better than that. That is, like, how cool is that? There's really not a whole lot out there that you can do that with, you know? All right. There are some publicly traded pawn shop companies, but I bet actually doing it is a lot more profitable. Yeah. Uh, I'm fortunate enough to own a pawn shop and business is booming. Wow, Bryce, right on. Yeah. And again, like, that's it's all in the meaning that you give things, right? Investment, speculation, I mean, that's a fine line, really, when you think about it. How does the silver feel in your hand? It is so awesome, guys. Listen, like, just the sound of them clinking together is so rad. Can you hear it? Like, these are big bars, so they're hard to clink together. Awesome. Super heavy. And like, it's amazing the size difference in these two, right? Like, this one seems tiny compared to this one, but then when you turn it on its side, you can't really see it in there. But one is way thicker than the other. These are so cool. Like, having these things in your hand, everybody who picks one up goes, oh, wow, that is nice, Once you have them in your hand, it makes all the difference in the world. This is where I think a lot of people misunderstand what it is that they are buying, why they buy silver, or why, like, people who don't buy misunderstand what it is that's taking place to understand what it is that people are feeling when they do buy silver. You put one of these in your hand, everything changes. You feel that, you feel the weight of it, you feel the reality of it, you know the realness of it. Like, you put paper in your hand and you're like, oh yeah, right? Like, I mean, you just know it right away. I get it now. As soon as you put it in your hand, you feel it. You know the difference, It changes. It's like all of a sudden there's this energy change that you feel from it. All right. I remember back in Rona days watching you buy silver and educating about lumber. Still awesome advice. Go bless. I think it was God bless. Well, thank you so much. Also, I really appreciate the comment, man. And that's really what it comes down to. Like, I mean, people say, man, should I put my money into silver? Well, yeah, sure. Silver, Bitcoin, stocks, real estate, cash, all these places, you have to be in position. Like, you have to be in position and know why you're in position. So many people are so fearful out there. They're like, oh man, I got $100,000 in cash. What do I do? And I'm like, you have $100,000 in cash and you're asking me what to do? How the hell did you get $100,000 in cash? That's incredible. You know how awesome it is to have $100,000 in cash? Some people are like, yeah, that's real cool. I don't know what to do with it. And I'm like, man, holy crap, man. If you can get $100,000 in cash, you ought to know what you should be doing with it. Because if you don't know what to do with it, the universe is going to take it from you. I mean, it does me. If I don't, like, if I'm sitting there with money and I'm like, wow, I don't know what to do with it, the universe comes and takes it from me right away. So now I know what I do with the money. I mean, I deploy it right away. I know exactly where I go with it. And the universe doesn't necessarily come and take it from me like it used to. Like, sometimes it does. I think about it, like, I had the money to buy this truck, but my wife's car broke down. Like, the transmission blew in it, and there was $3,000 that was owed on that car. Huh. Weird. Right? So here I had the money to buy the Suburban. I did. Right? But then my wife's car broke down, so I had to pay that thing off. Right? The universe will always find a place to take your money if you do not know where it's going to go. I mean, you have to know that. Yeah. People wonder, man, it's so hard out there. There's always a bill that comes up. There's always this. And I was like, well, it's because you don't know what to do with the money. If you don't know what to do with it, then that's gonna happen, right? But if you know, then those sort of things, you're prepared for them and they don't bother you so much because you know those are gonna happen and you're prepared to deal with that, right? And then you deploy your money, the extra money, right? Money beyond the money you're already making. I love that extra money. You take that and you put it towards the investments, the speculations that, are you feel the most appropriate. F money anyway. Yep, that's what usually keeps you from getting it. All right, 2 chicks at the same time. It's good times. All right, is there a price when you would feel the need to sell some, just hypothetically speaking, or are you hodling forever? When it comes to silver, I don't know why I would sell. I mean, unless it ran up to, like, something ridiculous, $500, $1,000 an ounce or something, then yeah, I'm probably going to unload some of it if it was to do something like that. I mean, it would just make too much sense, right? But, if it's just moving like it's doing now, to me, it's still the insurance policy. It's something that's gonna, like, and I can hand it off to my kids. If there was a collapse, maybe I can carry something to the other side, carry some wealth to the other side of the collapse to start again. You know, to me, that's what I do with it. So if there was a number that I would get to, yeah, if it starts moving up to $500 an ounce, you're probably going to see me unloading some of it, taking some money off the table. But most likely, I'm going to take that money and position it into something else. All right, how long do you think data stays in a place where the Fed waits? At what point do you see employment take a turn or inflation pick up? I think inflation is picked up some, didn't it? Like, I mean, it's still moderately above 2%. The unemployment rate, although has discouraging things happening with it, the pressure within the labor market is starting to show cracks in the labor market or whatever, layoffs are rising, those things. We heard from Christopher Waller in his speech not too long ago that the numbers are going to be revised down sometime in the early part of next year as far as what we are experiencing right now. So the numbers could be far worse than what even the data is showing. But as far as like the expectations of the Federal Reserve and the lowering of interest rates, this one, what is going to trigger that is not what it is that people had anticipated from the past. Like, the Fed does not conduct themselves the way that they used to. They used to do things based on the idea of where the unemployment rate was in relation to the inflation rate. They had a neutral employment rate, a rate that doesn't increase or decrease the inflationary scenario. That unemployment rate, that neutral employment rate, is very low, like close to zero. And although that may have risen over the course of the last few years, I still believe that the neutral employment rate is still quite low. And with the unemployment rising, it does trigger the idea of the Federal Reserve needing to cut rates in order to combat that. However, we are finding things within the economy right now that you would not typically expect or see in what we are seeing today. And mainly, the economy is far less restricted than anybody would give it any credit for. All right. All-Nighter and I just recently did a video talking about, we did a live stream together. If you go and look at the live stream, there's a link down in the description to a Wolf Richter article talking about this exact thing, on how the economy is far less restricted than anybody could ever realize, and that the margin on debt purchases for stocks is now like incredibly low. Like, there's plenty of liquidity out there for people to borrow money to buy into stocks, to buy on margin. And so when you think about the stock market ever increasingly going to new highs, well, dang, yeah, there's probably a lot of people out there who are borrowing money even at these elevated interest rates in order to participate within the stock market. It is showing things, for all intents and purposes, less restricted than anybody would give it any credit for. I know this is complicated to understand, but to know that the neutral interest rate, which is the rate that is neither accommodating nor restricting the economy, it's the Federal Reserve, not the employment part, the Fed funds rate. When the Fed funds rate is close to neutral, then the economy is far less restricted than anybody would give it credit for. Like, people think, okay, the Fed has the interest rates above 4%. That's restrictive. But then they don't take into consideration the neutral interest rate, which is the rate that is neither accommodating nor restricting the economy, and that's moving up on inflation expectations. The higher the tariff threat, the farther that neutral interest rate will move up. It's getting ever closer to the Fed funds rate. The economy is far less restricted than anybody would ever realize. Wolf Richter recognizes it. Wolf Street, right? He wrote an entire article, doesn't mention one thing about the neutral interest rate in there. At least I didn't see it. Maybe I should go and read the article again. Maybe it's been updated. Not one mention of the neutral interest rate, but yet sees the symptoms of a less resilient or a less restricted economy, right? Less restricted financial conditions is being evident, right, within the things that he is finding within the margin requirements for buying stocks and all this. This is showing that the liquidity is quite extreme out there, and that the financial conditions are not necessarily restricted. Like, this is the thing that I've been trying to share with you guys for years. Literally years. I've been trying to explain this, and it's so difficult because there's not a lot of other people out there who are seeing the same things that I'm seeing. Yet, I mean, here's this Wolf Street article that recognizes the symptoms of what it is that I am saying, but yet doesn't know, or maybe he does know, or just doesn't say it within the article on what it is that's exactly happening there. And when you think about the neutral interest rate rising, it totally makes sense. That article totally lines up with my theory. Okay? I mean, he didn't, at least he didn't say it in the article. I'm not saying that, you know, Wolf Richter doesn't know what's going on. I'm sure he at least has some sense of it, but he didn't mention it in the article. If I was to write that article, I would have been bang right there. Evidence of the neutral interest rate rising, making the economy less restricted. And there's evidence of it right there. Okay? I know it's hard, guys. It's just this, the economics, banking, finances, government, this stuff is not easy to wrap your head around. And there are so many different avenues of view to take on this stuff that once you have taken on that sort of belief, it makes it very difficult to understand how it is that other things are operating. Looking back at it from a distance in a holistic fashion, again, is so hard because most people want to pinpoint it down to a particular. It was them who made this choice that did this. This is their control. And then it's very difficult to understand how it is that the underlying economic forces are now creating the environment that we are now blaming on politics. Right. Let me go check out this super chat. How much time do I have? Okay, guys, I got like another 10-15 minutes here. We go. Gunner with the $4.99, just checking in. Thank you so much for that $4.99, man. You guys are always so very supportive of the channel. It's crazy. I've had a couple of videos recently get demonetized, like no ad revenue whatsoever. The only revenue that I got was directly from the viewers themselves, from the sponsors, or from the super chat, in what I feel is the viewer sponsorship of the channel. But it's weird. Like, I've never seen it quite like this before. I mean, I've seen some issues that come up within, you know, the YouTube partnership, you know, and the ad revenues and how it works. And sometimes there's a lot of fluctuation that takes place to it. But I've never had them outright, like, demonetize videos to where, like, there's literally no ad revenue coming in with no explanation of it. Like, a lot of times you'll get, like, hey, this isn't, you know, ad friendly, you know, ad partnership friendly. You know, and there's certain topics that I recognize, okay, yeah, I get it, all right, doesn't matter, I'm going to cover those topics anyway and take the hit on it. But recently, like, there's no ad revenue coming in. I can't even figure out why that's the case. So I appreciate all the support for the channel. It's really why I just don't take sponsorships, is because you guys are always so supportive of the channel, and I cannot thank you enough for it. You know, because I just don't like the sponsorships and I don't want to do them, but they're just so tempting. You wouldn't believe how much money. Like, I get it. There's other YouTubers out there who have a third of the subscribers that I have who make 3 times the amount of money, you know. I need new hearing aids, and that's $5,000 out of pocket. It's getting very expensive to live in America. All right. Make that money, do your thing. Yeah, I mean, it's just eventually going to get to the point where I will, but at this point, I'd rather just not. Love your content. Thoughts on buying a multifamily house to live in and rent out the other as a hedge? Don, I cannot think of a better idea. I literally cannot think of a better idea for somebody to do than to do exactly that. If you could house hack in that fashion, where you are buying a house and having somebody else renting it, living on the property, you living like in the RV, in the shop, in the garage, or something, like anything that you could do to live on that property and have somebody else making the payment or partially making the payment, I think is a wonderful idea, and go for it. Like, this is the way that you acquire a property, is to house hack into it. A lot of times you can't even afford the payment, but if you have somebody there living on the property with you, they can help make the payment. Doing stuff like that, I think, is an absolute wonderful idea. In fact, that's what a lot of people are going to need to do if they ever want to be property owners, right? Is they're going to have to do something of that nature, is house hacking. Follow Zuber, Lumberjack Landlord, Dion, right? Millennial Mike. These guys, these are the dudes that you want to follow for that kind of advice. That's exactly what they push, is that sort of idea and understanding of it. There's a lot of great guys out there too, so don't get me wrong, but those guys, that's what that's their thing. I ate cereal this morning. Well, good for you. All right. What does All Nighter say? Movies tend to have one ultimate villain. Maybe that's why people look for one villain in real life. Oh, yeah, that would make sense. Like the subconscious is just kind of geared to try and find a villain. Huh. All right. I'd subscribe to your Substack if you wrote articles. I do Patreon. I mean, I do Patreon articles and I try to post once a week, although this week I was a little busy. And, I have been using AI to enhance and kind of rewrite the articles, but I think I'm just going to move back into just writing them myself without doing any kind of AI enhancing. Because they do a great job. AI really rewrites the articles and just makes them flow so much better, because, as not somebody who's really educated in anything, other than my own self-education, writing is something I do enjoy doing, but sometimes I find it like I can't get it to flow right. Alright. I wonder, Angry Capitalist says this, I wonder if the neutral interest rate being not fixed to a specific number and existing in a zone, could the bandwidth of the neutral interest rate expand and contract over time? Absolutely, Angry Capitalist. Absolutely. So, I would imagine, the idea that nobody knows exactly where that neutral interest rate is. And given that it's not set, it can adjust over time. So whether it goes up or down, depending on the inflation expectations or the belief of the people in the current interest rates and where the inflation rate is in accordance to the current interest rates, that neutral interest rate over time could definitely move. And nobody knows exactly where it is, right? Because you got to observe in the past to see it. So where it is today can only be estimated, and this is where R-star comes in. Right? And that's the Federal Reserve's best guess estimate of where neutral interest rate is in relation to the Fed funds rate. So yes, it very well could be in the idea that the Fed believes that they are restrictive above the neutral rate, but then find out over time that the neutral interest rate has risen, making the Fed funds rate in an accommodating position when they were actually believing that they were being restrictive. Now, is that the case? I don't think so. Could that be? Hypothetically speaking, yes, right? But I don't think that's the case. I think the Federal Reserve is well aware of where the neutral interest rate is, or at least has a good guess of where that neutral interest rate is. I don't think that they tell the people or the mainstream media. I don't think that information is being pushed out there in a way that it would be understood by the markets. I mean, Jerome Powell and many of the other Fed officials have said the Fed funds rate is getting close to neutral, but very few of them talk about that neutral interest rate rising to the Fed funds rate, making the economy less restricted, and that's one of the reasons why the Federal Reserve is standing still. That's not communicated. Nobody communicates it like that, ever, right? They talk about, oh, the inflation is running up, and they don't know, they're stuck, inflation's running up, and the employment, the unemployment, right, that's starting to rise. And I'm thinking, okay, now let's talk about the neutral interest rate and how restricted the economy is or not restricted it is. Nope, crickets, nowhere to be heard, okay? That's why I like that Wolf Richter article. It's like, hey, there we go. Now somebody is recognizing that the economy is far less restricted than anybody had given it consideration. And here he is recognizing it. And not maybe, or maybe not, understands why. Now, I called it out a long time ago saying, hey, if you just go and follow the idea of the neutral interest rate rising, making the economy less restricted, we might find where the stock market is going to be doing quite well, where unemployment doesn't rise significantly. Here we are, right? Exactly the way I said it. And now, again, it's hard to describe exactly what the scenario is going to look like, because nobody can call out saying, oh, well, the Dow's going to be here and all that. I mean, if they're doing that, they're just making stuff up, right? But you can go back in my videos, especially the ones where I talk about the neutral interest rate, and I did a great video that another guy actually did an edit to, which you can go and find on my community channel. Go to the YouTube page, to the channel, go to the community portion, and then down there just a little ways, there's a video that somebody had edited for the neutral interest rate, where they took my video and broke it down into like with graphs and visuals and stuff like that, and it is so good. It is such a good video. It's like way better than any of the neutral interest rate videos that I've ever done, because of the graphs and the way that he did it. It's really funny, and I just love watching that video. And I did that thing like 2 years ago, right? And it is so accurate to what we are experiencing today. I mean, it's so accurate. I don't know anybody else who did a video like that who could explain to a T what it is that's taking place with that neutral interest rate making the economy less restricted. Nobody's explaining it today, right? I try to share it with you as often as I can, and I know it's repetitive, but if I don't do that, then nobody's going to remember. All right? What time is it? I think I got to go. I got a few more minutes here. We'll call. All right. Last thing with buying full-time, multifamily, interest rates are so high, hard to make the numbers work. Thoughts? Well, Don, I mean, just for an example, I'm probably going to give it away. Somebody's going to jump on it. There is in the area a 4-unit, like fourplex, right? 4 units, all renters in them right now, and that place is listed at $650,000. Like, holy crap. Like, I don't know why that thing is still on the market, why it is that somebody hadn't picked it up. There must be something wrong with it. But bang, like that's instant like, I'm sure those renters would be more than enough to make the payment and some. All right? And that's available right here, right now. I'm like, holy crap, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. And I'm like, it's even kind of dumb for me to even share it with you guys, because I know you people are going to just go out there and look for it and find it out there. If your worth time needs a net, your time is the price. I'll see if I can grab the link. Stand by. Yeah, somebody's going to pick that thing up fast. I tried to get my buddy to do it, and like I was very much considering it, but you know. All right, so build a 4 quadplex and live on the property. Well, I think building one would be far more expensive than buying something that is already existing, right? I don't know, maybe not. Quadplex in Northeast Texas going for $450,000 to $600,000. Yeah, but like that's in Texas. Like I'm in an expensive area. Like real estate here is super expensive. To find a house for $650,000, just a house, is incredible, right? Like nothing sells for under $400,000 here if it's just a crap hole of a house, like completely needs to tear down and rebuild. Those go for $400,000. Like lots are $280,000 for a lot, you know, not even a house on it. All right, tell the seller to take a haircut, weaponize math if needed. All right. Hi, my name is Boomer Sheila. I'm ready for Trump to draft the youngins for a Persian nightmare, costly to fill up the Escalade. However, probably don't need draft when ICE goes after Mexicans. Okay. Joe says real estate is one way, but I blow my buddies out of their water with my business. Keep up the content. Very unique perspective. Love it. Well, thank you, Don. I appreciate it. And that's the one thing that I try to bring to you is a perspective from a working class point of view. Very few people do that. Most people are going to bring you economics from a political point of view, from I'm already successful and rich and know how to do this point of view. They bring it to you from some other view that you're not standing in, right? Because most of us in the working class space, we don't look at the economy like somebody from 30,000 feet who's flying with 150 doors, got all this money, got all this abilities, got all this, you know, network built up or whatever. Most of us are just an individual person trying to figure out what the hell it is that we're going to do with our lives to try and make it. And that is very difficult to try and acquire the understanding from somebody who is not viewing it from that position. They got it from a whole, I mean, I'm not saying that they're wrong. What I am saying is it's like looking at things from a view that is not the standpoint that you are looking at it. That's the problem, right? Because most of us who are looking at the economy are getting information from people who don't view it the way we view it. They don't have to show up every single day, 9-to-5 job, and report to a boss. Most of these people are living independently. They're capitalists or property owners. Yeah? So how is it when you have a daily job that you're showing up to try and figure out what it is that you need to do in order to make it in this world, you have to understand the underlying economic forces that are creating the situation. If we want to blame politics and take a political view towards it, hey, there's plenty of information. Most of the mainstream media, many YouTubers out there will explain exactly how it is that the political environment is creating the hell that you are experiencing. I know. I followed that for a very long time. It's very entertaining. It seems very informative. You think that you're protecting yourself, but ultimately it will deteriorate your life because the underlying economic forces are creating the symptoms that people are now blaming. Once you see it in this fashion, it makes so much more sense, right? Understanding the Cantillon essay, right? I carry this essay around with me just about everywhere I go. Cantillon essay on economic theory. Now there's 3 chapters in there, chapter 6, 7, and 8. Part 2 of the essay, 6, 7, and 8, the increase and decrease of money to the state. There's a link down in the description to an Amazon affiliate link to buy this exact essay. I will get a little commission if you follow that Amazon affiliate link by buying the essay off of Amazon, but you do not have to buy the essay. You can get it for free at the Mises Institute. Just type into your Google search Cantillon essay on economic theory, go and get that link, download the PDF, go and look at those chapters. I mean, read the whole thing. It's good. Those 3 particular chapters, chapters 6, 7, and 8, we've covered it many times on this channel. The increase and decrease of money to the state, it's going to explain so much to you. It's going to explain why the manufacturers left the nation. You can blame politics and you can blame greed. That's fine, right? They're part of it. But what that is literally an underlying economic force that has created the situation that we are now facing, okay? And when you look at it in this fashion, you're going to see it so much within your daily lives. Why it is that we have so much dramatic inequality that is happening. And knowing that it comes from new money and the new money issuance. And when people issue out new money, then you're going to find that there's going to be a separation that takes place because of it. The people who have first access to that money get to spend it at face value. When they spend that money, it increases the consumption. The consumption then starts causing the supply-demand imbalances. Prices move up, and the people at the end of the line who have last access to the money, they suffer through this. And as they increase the amount of new money that comes into the system, the ever-increasing amounts of inequality takes place. Blame politics all day long. You are going to suffer because there's nothing you can do to stop it. There's nothing politics can do to stop it. There's nothing that the banking system can do to stop it. And anything that does stop it is going to create pain and misery for everybody. Understanding this is going to give you so much more ability to make the right decisions for yourself. Like picking up gold and silver, being able to build a network of people that you can now use this gold and silver to buy a Suburban. All right? Understand how that works and how you can do it. This is the 3rd time that I bought a vehicle using my silver. All right? I got to go back to work, guys. I wish I could stay out here and keep talking, but I got to go. Uneducated Economist, you guys let me know.